Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back inside the gymnasium here at Milford High School, as Milford TV is happy to bring you coverage of Scarlet Hawks athletics. This is Tim Coed on the call. I'll be joined tonight on the broadcast by Patrick Garapi as we bring you another installment of Milford High School boys basketball. The team fresh off of a dominant performance against Sharon here in the home gym last Friday night. They look to now get to 500 on the season as they welcome in an opponent from the Kelly Rex division in the King Philip Warriors. Well, the offense came out of the gate sputtering, as we talked about in our broadcast on Friday, but Milford was able to right the ship from an offensive standpoint on Friday night against the Sharon Eagles, a team that Milford typically puts up big point totals against, and they were ultimately able to do so when all was said and done last week. It was a relatively evenly matched first half of play. Milford carried just a 3-point lead into the break, but coming out of the third quarter, Milford was really able to find their form, scoring the first 12 points of the third quarter, and that ultimately put the game heavily in Milford's favor. It was really not a contest from there, as Milford was able to win comfortably, again winning their first game of this 2018-19 winter sports season, winning against Sharon by a final score of 66-51. So again, now 1-2 overall on the season, getting that first victory against Davenport Division competition. It'll be a little while now before we see another Davenport Division foe. We see a Kelly Rex team in the house tonight, and King Philip, KP playing in just their second game on the season. King Philip, much like Milford did last week, found out just how potent the attack is on the Franklin Panthers side of things. King Philip opening their schedule against Franklin last Friday night on the road, and Franklin was able to overwhelm KP by a final score of 62-39, just like they did to Milford. Franklin really able to expand their lead big time in the second half. They ended up scoring 41 second half points to put that game well out of reach. So KP comes in with a record of 0-1. They're looking to fill some big holes from last year's team. Thinking back to last year's senior captains of Farrow Davis and Kyle Lehman. Kyle Lehman, one of the strongest big men in the game, really for all 4 years of his varsity career. So those are two big names to fill on this roster, but it is a veteran-heavy roster overall for the Warriors. All upperclassmen on this 2018-19 roster, 7 seniors and 6 juniors, so they do have some experience that they bring to the floor here tonight, and they do bring a victory against Milford. The last time these two teams faced off against each other, that was in the Milford gym at the beginning of last season. It was a game that Milford really controlled almost from beginning to end, but the Hawks let it slip away in the final minutes. Milford with a 6-point lead with just about 4 minutes to go in that game, but King Philip was able to come back and steal the win. Milford overall has won 2 of the last 3 meetings between these two schools, so we'll see if they can get back on the winning track against King Philip here tonight, and again, make it 2 wins in a row overall on the season. Should be a good one in the Milford Gymnasium tonight as the Milford Scarlet Hawks welcome in the King Philip Warriors. We'll have the opening tip to this Hockomock League crossover matchup when we come back next here on Milford TV. Back inside the Milford gym, time to get this game started between the Scarlet Hawks and the King Philip Warriors. And as I bring in my broadcast partner for tonight's game, Patrick Garapi. Patrick, it seems like it's worked out that you and I have covered this matchup together in the last couple of seasons. Always seems to be a pretty exciting, evenly matched game that comes right down to the end between these two teams. And
that's exactly what I was about to say, too. I mean, both teams come into this one pretty much even size-wise. And you talked about their early losses to Franklin here in again, the early going of the season. But coming into this one, really what we need to look at is two teams looking to establish both identities and chemistry between them. King Philip arguably had the better showing against Franklin, so Milford needs to be prepared tonight for a team really looking for its first win here.
And King Philip certainly has to be prepared to deal with Brendan White, who scored 30 points on this Milford hardwood last Friday, getting swarmed by a couple of KP defenders as we get an early stoppage here just over 10 seconds in. But White overall on the season averaging 21 points per game. So certainly doing an excellent job anchoring this Milford offense through the first 3 games.
He is their spark plug.
King Philip with possession now as we are still in the opening 30 seconds of this first quarter. They swing the ball around the perimeter to Alex Fritz, now across the way to senior Ian Kung. Kung now getting pestered by Brendan Saylor. They send the ball inside, now back out for a 3-shot, and it's good for Alex Fritz.
Good defense initially from the Hawks, but then a breakdown there at the end left Fritz open for a wide open look.
So KP scores the opening blow. Ball briefly in the hands of Colby Perez, who prior to this game was elevated to captain. Now 4 captains on this team. And good work down low by the underclassman, Jordan Darling, to get the bucket and a chance for three.
Challenging the senior Bruce Santillis there. Good defense initially, too, from Santillis getting the first block, but a little bit of contact on the second attempt, and that brings him up Darling to the line.
Milford really hoping to take care of business with free throws. They had a tough time shooting from the line in the first half of that game against Sharon. Darling able to finish off the three-point play, and we're tied up here early. Now good movement again, trying to find that opening from long range. Again, they set it up for Fritz, but this time offline, and the travel. So now Saylor slowly brings the ball back up with 6:45 on the clock. They find White cutting to the basket so quick, and he gets his first points of the night.
Right through a seam, what a pass.
Milford immediately putting the pressure on the inbounds pass, and Jordan Darling is going to get called for the foul. It's his first foul of the night. Milford with a full court press here through these early possessions. Now KP nearly losing control of it. They're able to settle it back down. Now into the corner, and the long range shot no good. King Philip really trying to establish that long range game, but meanwhile underneath the basket, 2 points for Santillis.
Donahue, great inside presence, going up, getting the rebound over a Milford player, and coming down with it, getting it over to his teammate for 2.
So tied at 5. As now Saylor finds that lane to the basket, and he gets the layup.
A little bit of trickery there.
Schofield getting in the way of Santillis. Now from underneath, White gets his hands on it, wrestles it away. And now up ahead to Saylor, gets a good roll around the rim, and 4 quick points for Brendan Saylor.
Challenge hard there by Chris Roy, but just getting it out of his reach.
Lots of pressure on the ball for the Scarlet Hawks, but now the pass gets away to Tommy Donahue. Does not fall. And now here's White. He'll give way. Out of the corner, back into the hands of White. Just over 5 minutes to go in the quarter. Milford with an early 9-5 lead. Lots of communication from the sidelines as Saylor lets it fly from long range, no good. And the big reach of Tommy Donahue able to pull down the rebound, but Milford gets it right back. Schofield under the basket, can't finish. Gets his own rebound, puts it back up. And second time not the charm there for the effort of Dom Schofield. Got a couple of rebounds, but just could not put it home.
Milford showing some good inside presence early on in this one. Really a force underneath, creating some good chances and second opportunities.
Coach Seaver already going to the bench, swapping out Schofield for the captain, Steve Sutherland. He waits back on defense as Donahue plows his way inside. Now cutting towards the rim is Fritz, but KP has to take it back out. Donahue trying to wait it out, and Milford draws the offensive foul.
Sutherland immediately into the game and a steady defensive presence there. I think he got a piece of that first shot, and then getting the call against King Philip there. Now so a turnover back to Milford.
Milford with the 9-5 lead, but now the ball swatted away and taken up court by Fritz. And then Saylor reaches in, and he will get the foul. First foul on the senior captain, Brendan Saylor.
He's playing confident tonight so far. You can just see the elevation in his game from last season already. Coming off the bench last year, being an important role player, and now stepping into the starting role this year, you can tell he's really feeling it already.
Could really see a turning point for Saylor, even within the game on Friday night. Scored just 3 first-half points, ended the night with 14 as Colby Perez off the steal is able to take it all the way to the rack.
Another turnover here.
The pressure really starting to pay dividends for the Scarlet Hawks. They assume an 11-5 lead. Coming down to 3:30 to play in the first quarter. Here's Sutherland now on the move, just could not get the bounce.
King Philip leaving some gaps on those in cuts there. Players getting open, but fortunately for them in that case, no bucket.
Here's Santillas. Dishes it back to Fritz. Darling, good defense. Now Perez pressuring. 10 seconds left on the shot clock. The Milford student section now rises up. The ball loose on the floor and scooped up by Darling.
Bench on their feet cheering him on too.
Here's Perez now aggressive. Off balance shot, it's good, and the foul.
Nice cut and move to the inside, spin shot. Unbelievable. Great job by Perez and a good chance for a three-point play here.
4 points now for the newly minted junior captain, a chance to finish off a three-point play. KP now going to their bench. The head coach for the Warriors is Dave DiStefano. And Perez gets the bounce, gives Milford a 9-point advantage as we now tick under 3 minutes to play in the first.
Good early momentum seized here by the Hawks. They are really coming out flying right now and challenging KP.
This has to be their best first quarter so far of the season. We've seen a lot of slow starts for the Hawks, but not the case here tonight. Here's Donahue now bodying up against Sutherland. And Sutherland's going to get called for the foul, and Coach Seaver hates it.
I don't blame him. That was kind of questionable. Donahue has been having a strong game in terms of just his overall body presence, but in terms of finishing abilities, having a tough time early on.
Misses on the first free throw attempt. The student section not making it easy on Donahue, but he's able to go 1 for 2 on the trip to bring the score to 14-6. Again, White cutting to the basket. Got a little handcuffed on the pass, but he was able to finish.
Only temporarily able to break up that Milford run. Right back out they go.
And another steal. Here's Saylor trying to get the bank off the glass, but does get his own rebound. And there is Colby Perez with the jump shot.
Coach Seaver loves that.
Make it 6 points. Colby Perez really making a statement here in the first quarter. After being named captain, it forces the King Philip timeout, and everything clicking for the Scarlet Hawks here early, taking now an 18-6 lead on the Warriors. We'll step aside for the timeout. More to come in this first quarter in a moment here on Milford TV. So far on the season, the Hawks offense has been very reliant upon Brendan White to generate the offense. White does have 4 points so far in this quarter, but Patrick, 4 points out of Brendan Saylor, 6 points out of Colby Perez. They're spreading it out much better so far in this one.
And that's a result of just great ball distribution and seeing things pretty clearly, getting those lanes, and most of all capitalizing on everything.
It's all totaled up right now to a 12-point lead. And you really have to love the pressure that Milford has shown on the defensive side of the ball. They have not given King Philip anything easy tonight.
No, they come out with a sense of urgency, and it's like I said, it's almost as if they know that King Philip's got to be hungry for a win here, so they got to come out twice as hard.
Air ball on the King Philip side, but Santillas fights for the rebound. Now it sets up the shot from three-point range, no good. And really fighting for that rebound is McKinney. Now he goes up for the layup. And credit King Philip there on a relentless offensive possession.
Yeah, you have to imagine something was said to them in that timeout that got them up and moving.
Still a 10-point lead for the Hawks coming down to the final 90 seconds of the quarter. Saylor thought about the three, instead feeds Sutherland, doesn't get the foul and doesn't get the basket.
And a tough attempt there, double team too, but a really tough matchup.
Now a chance for King Philip to cut it to single digits, and Andrew McKinney going hard down to the floor. And they'll call the foul on Saylor. That's his second. trying to set up the quick shot off the inbounds pass. Now Santellis in some trouble. Gets it back outside. .16 seconds on the shot clock. Just over a minute left in the period. Deep three by Mike O'Brien. No good.
Yeah, Brendan White right in his face the whole way.
Sailor for Darling had a little space. Now Perez sees that lane close in, releases the shot. Nice touch for Colby Perez.
Perez do some great work inside tonight.
Leading this Milford attack right now with 8 points. 20 in the quarter now for the Scarlet Hawks. They had 24 points in the third quarter against Sharon on Friday night. That was their best quarter of the season.
Nice look inside, but better D.
Shot clock turned off now. Coach Sieber barking out instructions from the bench, but Santillis with a good read, and he takes it coast to coast. Make the turnover hurt.
Came out of nowhere.
And now here's Sutherland, can't quite finish. Now heave a little bit earlier than necessary for King Philip. They had an opportunity to play for one more shot, but a little overzealous. And now Milford a chance to inbound with 1.1 seconds to go. And Milford elects to allow the remaining clock to tick down, so King Philip able to put one in there late, but still overall a very good start to this game tonight, really both offensively and defensively for the Scarlet Hawks, Patrick.
On pace for a huge offensive output thus far, but the real question is, can they keep it up? It's only one quarter, and this is a long game. King Philip, as we said, wants to get that first win, and so let's see what they can do going into quarter two here to maybe get themselves back in it, but all things told, Milford with a great start.
Colby Perez leading the way. Again, we mentioned it. It's actually 9 points for Perez through the first quarter. On the King Philip side, Bruce Santillis with 4 points to lead the Warriors' attack. So we'll take a quick timeout here before the start of the second quarter. Again, 20-10, the Scarlet Hawks lead it over King Philip on Milford TV. Milford starting the second quarter up 20-10, and a quick three released by Steve Sutherland, and count it, bang! Setting the tone. The first points for Sutherland.
Always good to see the big men chipping in with some offense, and always fun to see him doing it from beyond the perimeter.
Sutherland is capable of knocking down the three. We've seen it in previous seasons. Meanwhile, Matt Vardaresian on the floor right now. Sailor on the bench with those 2 first quarter fouls. And a cut to the basket for McKinney. Makes it 23-12. Now Sutherland gets a push underneath the basket. The pass ends up top to Perez, who misses. He was the hot hand in the first quarter. It's a rare miss so far tonight for Perez. Gets back defensively, closely guarding Alex Fritz. Now the ball deflects to Santillis. From out of the corner now, another three on offline for Andrew McKinney.
Really having trouble sinking those.
Now Darling weaving his way between defenders, and he will head to the line.
Pulling the Euro step there.
Darling has quickly become a fan favorite, got a huge ovation from the crowd as he was introduced. A starter in the game on Friday, a starter again here tonight. The sophomore quickly making his way into this starting five and looks to be a fixture now with the play that he has shown.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a foundation player going forward for the Hawks. You got to look to those younger players who you can build on going forward.
And off the back of the rim, that's Milford's first free throw miss. They knocked down their first three. So it stays 24-12. high pass pulled down by Mike O'Brien. He wants it back. Instead, the bounce pass nearly picked off by Corsini, but grabbed by Santillas. Goes up and over. Sutherland can't get the bucket. Second chance effort, no good from Samuel Cizé.
Nice crossover by White there. And the finish.
Corsini, Danny Corsini, has been averaging 4 points a game in limited minutes. He's been getting it done when called upon. Meanwhile, King Philip able to break the press, and it leads to an easy bucket for Cizé.
Sassy Samuel Cizé.
And Milford answers on the other side. I believe that was Sutherland action, really rapid fire up and down the floor to make it now 28-14. Now Santillas will unleash the three, no good. Cizé with the rebound. He's been a factor over these last couple of minutes. He'll grab the second rebound here and puts it in himself.
I don't even have to say it again. Look at him go.
4 quick points. You wonder why it took Coach DiStefano that long to get Cizé involved in the action. Big body out there.
He did have a quiet first quarter, though. Had some nice defensive looks.
Brendan White, who's had a relatively quiet half by his standards, now up to 6 points after that bucket. It brings Milford's grand total up to 30, a 30-16 lead. The Hawks just keep pouring them in as we're now down to 5 minutes and 1 second to go in the first half. A quick timeout and back with more in a moment here on Milford TV. Back inside the Milford gym on this Tuesday night. The Hawks with plenty of offense throughout this first half, building up a 30-16 lead on the King Philip Warriors. The ball nearly popping out of bounds. King Philip able to save it. Now down to 10 seconds on the shot clock, wearing out the perimeter. And that one nearly going out of bounds again.
Close call.
Shot tossed up, no good by McKinney, and Milford pulls down the board.
King Philip still looking kind of out of sorts on their offensive possessions.
Now White offline with the three.
Thought he got fouled.
Milford right now with White, Vardaresian, Darling, Corsini, and Schofield, the five on the floor, as the ball is jarred loose. Nice effort for Chris Roy to try to save it as it went on a play, but no good on the attempt, and Milford will take over. Perez and Saylor continue to rest on the bench, but Milford still looking good, starting to show some more depth.
Good pass by Schofield inside to lure that foul.
Darling with 4 first half points so far. Making a miss for Darling, who's now 3 out of 5 from the line in this half. Puts the lead at an even 15 points. Santillas starts his way inside, then leaves it out on the perimeter. And the ball deflects out of play after the miss, and Milford will take over. And another empty trip up the floor for the Warriors.
Seems like no matter how much they do and all the positives that they do get when, when they're cashing in their buckets, they just can't seem to get close enough. It's still a 15-point deficit.
Let's put a hush over this crowd as Milford has seized control of the game. Milford, meanwhile, getting called for the foul. They call it on Vardaresian. That's a second.
Have to imagine we'll be seeing Sailor back in the game soon, but really good play so far by Vardaresian.
Santillas nearly had it stolen from behind. Three-point attempt, no good. A lot of Milford players going up for that rebound, and it ends up going against them. It looked like Schofield had it easy, but Corsini and Darling getting involved. It ended up deflecting the ball away. And the end result, the foul, and Santillas now at the line.
King Philip, again, down by 15, but there's no need to be chucking up all of these three-point attempts. You match up well size-wise against the Hawks. Why aren't you trying to get inside a little more and get yourself some better looks? I just don't understand it.
Feels like King Philip is typically a team that really lives by the three-point shot, and once again, looking to be the case this year. But to your point, Patrick, they have good size. You would think that they would try to get inside a little bit more, get some of those easy looks to get the offense feeling a little more comfortable.
Absolutely. Get the ball more to the man at the line. Bruce Santillas, get it more to Tommy Donahue. Use those guys as your base.
Couple of good looks at the line. Makes it 31-18 with 2:54 left in the half. Sailor back out on the floor. White guarded closely by Fritz. Now Darling trying to go up and over Donahue, loses that size battle.
There he is.
And then the quick three release, no good. And as White goes up for the rebound, you see the foul called, and it's going to go against the Warriors. Some conversation afterwards with head coach Paul Seaver.
They just can't help themselves with those three-point attempts.
Now Sailor down on his backside. Corsini goes back and forth with Darling. Now Corsini has it poked away. Timed that well, Andrew McKinney.
McKinney just practically palmed the ball right out of Corsini's possession. Right over the top. Yoink.
And Corsini called for the foul to add insult to injury. And it looks like now we'll see Perez back out on the floor as the free throw is missed. Darling goes down to the floor. And ultimately the Hawks come away with possession. Corsini now will release the three, and so atones for the foul.
Get that Hawks offense back on track.
5 second quarter points off the bench for Corsini. Milford up to 34 for the game.
Good job working the ball in there, but floater just not going.
Yeah, exactly. Just shots not falling no matter where they are on the floor right now for the Warriors. 34-18 again the score as we come down to 90 seconds to go in the half. And Santillas from long range. Sailor now finds Corsini cutting to the basket. Danny Corsini now up to 7 points.
Great sequence there. What a feed and a better finish.
Top scorer in this second quarter, Danny Corsini.
And this is what you want to see out of your team if you're Milford. See some depth.
6 different scorers in this first half. As Donahue gets fouled on his way up to the rim. They call it on Sutherland.
Only 2 points here at stake, but 2 critical points at this juncture of the game.
And not a good start for Donahue. He's missed 2 of his first 3 shots from the line. Able to salvage the second. Milford back to their original starting 5 now for these last 40 seconds. Sailor aggressive move inside, finds Schofield who gets the shot And a chance for another Milford three-point play.
Always, always, always a response by the Hawks tonight, and it's been just unbelievable. 38-19, the doubling up on KP.
Schofield now becomes the 7th Milford player to score in this first half, as Saylor will trot back to the bench, Vardaresian back out onto the floor. .39 points and an even 20-point lead for the Scarlet Hawks. Awkward pass up the floor handled by Ian Kung before he gives away to Fritz. Now Santillas sees the lane close in and back outside for another three and another miss. And the timeout called for. It stops the clock with just 19.6 seconds to go. And no doubt a lot of frustration in that King Philip huddle as the misses are mounting here as the first half comes to a close. 39-19, the Hawks own a 20-point lead on the Warriors here on Milford TV. Milford sending it back in play for the final 19.6 seconds. Saylor letting it roll. And right now, the official stopping play at 18.1 seconds. Saylor had started to let it roll. He did touch it momentarily before it crossed the half-court line.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this discussion's about, if it's strictly over resetting the clock and the time or what, but here we go again.
So they reset it to 19.6, so maybe the scores table thinking that Saylor had touched it when he hadn't, but regardless, play resumes just in time for Brendan White to accentuate what has been a phenomenal half for the Scarlet Hawks with a three-pointer. Now 2 seconds left. Can King Philip get a shot away? Colby Perez says no, and that is how the first half comes to an end. 42 points in the half for the Scarlet Hawks. They dominate so far in this one over KP, 42-19. And we've talked about just the shooting struggles for King Philip so far. It's been excellent defense for Milford, but something's going to change up fundamentally in this game plan for King Philip, Patrick. No, they're going to climb back into it.
They could not wait for that quarter to end, really the half. They've got some deep looking into the mirror to do here at halftime in order to pull things out. It's Milford right now on track for their highest offensive output of the season, and somehow need to be slowed down. So it's going to be tough to do that with the fire that they're feeling tonight.
Again, 42-19, everybody feeling good in the Milford gym right now. We'll pause for halftime, and we will have the start of the third quarter for you shortly. Again, coverage of Milford High School boys basketball here on Milford TV. Once again, we welcome you back inside the Milford Gymnasium. It has been a fun time if you are a fan of the home team here tonight. 42-19, a big lead for the Scarlet Hawks. And Patrick, I would imagine two very different conversations took place between each of these coaching staffs at the half.
Oh, I can guarantee you that much. Coach Sheaver, I'm sure, just telling his guys, continue to push it, push the pace, push the tenacity, and push the defense. And you'll continue to throw off KP. Meanwhile, KP just trying to break the rhythm of Milford and start something of their own, get any kind of momentum going. And most of all, maybe, hopefully, stop taking so many three-pointers.
Meanwhile, Milford with a good start to this third quarter, immediately getting the steal. And now White clears himself from his defender and gets the first bucket of this third quarter.
Nice and smooth.
And the ball ends up out of bounds on the other side, so 2 turnovers on the King Philip side so far. Well, that'll stay with the Warriors, as it turns out. No, indeed, Milford will inbound. Darling gets it into Brendan Saylor. Had a couple of fouls in the first half, also had a chance to get some rest thanks to the big lead. So fresh legs for a lot of these starters. Saylor taking his time, down to 5 seconds on the shot clock. As now the foul comes, stopping the clock with 6:53.
Saylor taking his time there because nobody was moving around.
That did not go unnoticed by Coach Seaver, who continues to yell out from the bench despite the lead, and Brendan White getting the shot and a little choreography to his teammates afterwards.
Well, he's got a lot of making up to do right now if he's going to get back on that point scoring total and keep his averages up.
Donahue able to answer back. Milford already pushing 50 points. Not quite 2 minutes into this third quarter.
Great job by Brendan White there, sticking with that one, drawing the foul.
Brendan White with 9 points in the first half, already has 5 here in the second quarter, in the second half.
Add one there.
Short on the second. And now pushing the pace up the floor, but Milford gets the block.
Is that White in there that time?
Not a surprise at this point. And now KP able to answer back with the steal, and all the way in, and cannot finish. Andrew McKinney.
Story of the night. Being told that was Perez on the block. Good defense, no less, from the Hawks on that last sequence.
Jordan Darling now will head to the free throw line. .27 points and counting on the lead for the Scarlet Hawks as Darling front rims the first free throw attempt. You would never know the lead was as large as it is based on Coach Seaver's demeanor on the sidelines.
And that's a great thing to see from the coach. Continue to challenge your players. Don't let them get too comfortable.
Santillas now. And offline on the pass. It ends up in the hands of KP head coach Dave DiStefano, who is no doubt at a loss at this point for what he's seen out of his team. Turnovers, missed shots, not a lot going right for the King Philip Warriors here in the Milford gym so far tonight.
No, and you can kind of read it with his body language there as he collected that ball.
Darling, good movement back outside to White, just offline on the shot. Perez rips down the rebound. Saylor thought about the three. Instead will feed Darling, who tries the reverse lay-in, not quite enough elevation.
Darling sticking with it. Looks like he got a jump ball. Possession arrow going back to Milford.
A lot of things pointing in Milford's direction. Now White gets it into Schofield, the up fake. Not quite the touch around the rim for Schofield.
Good challenge by Donahue inside.
Santillas back outside. Nault with the long three. Tim Nault, who hasn't seen much time on the floor tonight, knocks down a rare three.
One of a million.
And now Saylor all the way to the bucket and gets a couple of very friendly bounces.
Milford continues to respond.
Only 6 points so far for Saylor, but again, the minutes down a bit from what he's used to. Another quick three for King Philip. And after Darling had initially secured the rebound, King Philip able to poke it loose.
Nice strip from behind by Alex Fritz.
Now Santillas up to the rack, but again, just every bounce that could go against King Philip, that is how it has gone.
And look at Schofield diving on the floor there, trying to push the ball up. Great effort.
You see a return to the floor now for Samuel Cizet, and he was part of a very brief bright spot in the second quarter for King Philip, where it looked like they might be putting something together, but Milford very quickly shut it down.
It can be tough to see those highlights through that those barrage of misses, but overall, he's quietly had a nice little game and good impact overall from the KP side of things.
Santillas loses his dribble. Milford finds Perez all the way up the floor. He gets the shot. Add to a very nice game for Colby Perez. A timeout taken with 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. 53-24 now the score. Milford continuing to have a fun night here at home. More coverage coming up in a moment here on Milford TV. King Philip with the ball back in play. Less than 3.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. White gets his hands on the ball, finishes off the steal. Now Darling, quick bounce pass, finds Saylor, and he finishes with the jumper.
Add another 2 of the total there, on pace for 80 tonight.
Puts the lead over 30 points.
Milford arguably giving King Philip more fits than Franklin did in that initial meeting.
Another bad pass. Milford capitalizes with the turnover. Tough pass for Perez, but he handles it. Able to dribble his way back outside. Now Saylor from 3, and count it.
Good to see that the halftime break didn't really change anything for Milford. They are still very much on fire.
King Philip, as they've done all night, tries to answer from 3, but they cannot.
Well, you want to talk about statement games. This could be a big one early on in the season for the Hawks.
Darling with the miss, tried to fight for his own rebound. Ends up getting his second foul. You have to wonder if we'll start seeing more of the bench start to make their way onto the court for the Scarlet Hawks, particularly once we get into the fourth quarter with this game very much out of hand.
You'd have to imagine, but let's continue to see where things go here.
Up with the right hand, no good for Chris Roy. Now Saylor slows it down. Now takes it inside and it's the hard block.
Sassy Cizet saying, "Get off my lawn."
"23 seconds on the shot clock, 1:53 to go in the third quarter. A lot of passing for the Hawks. Spin move by Brendan Saylor, parts the seas, but he can't finish with the layup.
Amazing, the easiest look of the night.
And no big deal, he just comes back and knocks down the 3.
Get that man a sandwich.
Coming down to the final minute of the third quarter. If they had Gino here in the Milford gym, he might be making an appearance before the end of this game.
He might have been making an appearance before the end of the first half, Tim. Goodness gracious, look at where we are now, 61-24 and still growing.
Quick three off the inbounds. And Darling with the rebound, a little hand fighting afterwards, no whistle. We'll go under 60 seconds now for the third. Danny Corsini back out onto the floor. Tough pass, but Saylor pulls it down and misses on the three. Santillas with another rebound. Now Cizé loses control, deflects it back out where Santillas finds it. Now Nault with another three, no good this time. And Darling with the rebound. Here's Corsini pushing the floor, goes up and gets the layup. 9 points in the game now for Corsini.
Milford might be making a run for triple digits tonight, the way they're pushing the ball.
Corsini nearly with the steal. 10 seconds to go. Nault working against Steve Sutherland. Now dishes to the corner, but nobody home. And with 0.3 seconds to go, a quick inbounds here will take care of business in the third quarter.
Just a dejected bench over on the King Philip side of things, understandably so.
A 21-point performance in that third quarter for the Milford Scarlet Hawks. They are having a night. 63-24 the lead over King Philip. 8 minutes to go in this one. We will have the start of the fourth quarter next here on Milford TV. Welcome back for the start of the fourth quarter. A lot of the bench, as expected, making an appearance on the floor here to start quarter number 4. Tim Coed and Patrick Garapi with you on what has been an incredible offensive performance tonight for the Scarlet Hawks. They take a 39-point lead into this fourth quarter. And just looking at the breakdowns by quarter tonight, Patrick, 20-10 in the first quarter, 22-9 in the second, and 21-5 in the third quarter. This offense has just not let up all night long.
It is a train, it is a model of consistency, but as much as we talk about the offense, look at the defensive output too. 24 points so far. And this has just been a great all-around game for the Hawks.
Really breaking the will of King Philip in that third quarter, limiting them to just 5 points.
Suffocating, absolutely.
A quick change here for Milford before the inbounds as Schofield takes over for Darling. So Milford now with Schofield and Sutherland out there, along with Danny Corsini, Matt Verderezian, and also Ben Blanchard out there. Those are the 5 on the floor for the Hawks.
Good job on the fall there by Cizé.
Now Corsini, who has been one of the better scorers tonight, gets his hands on it before sending the pass in to Sutherland, and then offline to Blanchard. It ends up out of play. Santillas into Alex Fritz. And then airmailing the pass into the crowd.
Just another turnover tonight for KP as the woes continue.
If you're King Philip, you're going to try to turn the page on this game as quickly as possible. And this time the steal, and McKinney much more careful as he went up for the layup on the other end. Did not want another embarrassment.
Took the words out of my mouth, Tim.
Here's Schofield now. He'll body up against Cizé. Gets blocked, meanwhile, by McKinney. Santillas now outside. And KP called for the travel. Perez checks back into the game. He will inbound the basketball. Brendan Saylor also back out onto the floor, but meanwhile the steal and the bucket. And now here's Corsini with some space. He takes it all the way in. .65 points and counting now for the Hawks. And Milford getting called for the foul.
Three-point attempt, no less.
So Fritz now to the line. He has 5 points. Able to make the first.
Substitution here.
Brendan White back out onto the floor. So the starters, their day not quite done yet. .65-33 now. And some pressure at midcourt for Saylor. The bad pass to White ends up out of bounds.
Coach Sheaver fuming at the ref, saying the ball got deflected. Right now, you're wondering where this was from KP all night. Where was this, sense of urgency?
And the defense getting a little lax for Milford here. King Philip taking advantage, an easy lane to the basket for McKinney. And Coach Seaver wanting to put the train back on the tracks here to see this team finish out strong. The score now 65-35 with 5 minutes and 23 seconds to go. Another break here. And back with more fourth quarter action next on Milford TV. Back onto the timeout. Less than 5.5 minutes to go in this one as Perez makes a defender miss badly, takes it inside and gets the foul.
Breaking an ankle there. Ooh.
Even brought a smile to Colby's face. .15 points on the night for Colby Perez in his first game since being added to the list of captains on this team. Now 4 captains with the 3 seniors in White, Saylor, and Sutherland. Perez now a junior captain. Clock now under 5 minutes to go. The ball just barely makes it into Cizé, almost stolen by Saylor. Saylor ends up getting called for his 3rd foul. It's his first, though, since the first quarter. .7 points now for Samuel Cizé with one more free throw coming up. We'll lead at 31 points now for the Hawks. Pace getting slowed down here in this fourth quarter as we wait for Darling to send the ball back in play. Gets it to Saylor. Finds some resistance in the backcourt, but brings it ahead. Now White meets a double team, sends it out to Perez, who misses everything, but White able to get the rebound and eventually ends up with the bucket.
Fourth time's a charm.
The deflection on the other end. Possession staying with King Philip. Now losing the dribble. Schofield goes down. 10 seconds to go on the shot clock. Nault will put it up and banks it in for the three.
Take it to the bank.
So a late point surge here in the fourth quarter for King Philip. They were at just 24 points heading into this fourth. A chance now for Brendan Saylor to push the Scarlet Hawks over the 70-point threshold. Schofield and Perez back to the bench. One more free throw to go for Saylor. Gets it to rattle home.
Milford's defense needs to get its act together here. As soon as I compliment him, then King Philip tends to go off on a little bit of a run.
Still 3.5 to go here. And there's the defense coming through with the turnover. But Milford then called for the travel, I believe.
That looks to be the case.
No look pass inside to McKinney. This is on the shot, tried to save it, but he stepped out. Saylor gonna take it all by himself with no problem.
All-star with that misdirection back in the backcourt, getting by two defenders, and then it was just clear sailing for the Saylor.
Up to 17 points in this game. One of the best offensive marks he's had in a Milford uniform. White hoists up the three, no good. Corsini plucks down the rebound and gets the putback.
What a game he's having. Off the bench, Corsini lighting it up.
Outstanding. 13 points for Danny Corsini. And now Cizé able to use that height to his advantage. And that brings us into another timeout. It's been a bit of a plodding pace to this fourth quarter, but the outcome all but a certainty at this point, 75-42. Milford just keeps putting them in, and still some time to do more damage. We'll see what that final total gets up to for the Scarlet Hawks, but a quick timeout here. More to come next on Milford TV. Just under 2.5 minutes to go in this fourth quarter, as Coach Seaver getting some more of the bench incorporated here in the final minutes. But Tim Nault adding to his second half totals, now 8 points.
And we have a Chappelle Feaster sighting on the court.
Briefly gets his hands on the basketball there, nearly results in a turnover. Sean Brickley over to try to save it. He ends up getting fouled. No good on the free throw, but Steve Sutherland cleans it up.
making sure the offense keeps pace.
Can they get to 80? They've got a little less than 2 minutes. Tyler Weatherby on the floor for the Scarlet Hawks. Commits the foul. Weatherby, a junior, listed at 5'10". Sean Brickley, another junior on the floor, along with the sophomore Darling and the seniors Sutherland and Feaster. Feaster ends up with the steal. Interception's one of his specialty on the football field. Able to come through with one here, but KP gets it back, and Nault able to put it in. And Darling, with KP selling out for the steal, able to maintain control. Milford trying to get a little fancy with the pass underneath the basket. And as good as a night as this has been for the Scarlet Hawks, you probably think Coach Seaver is about ready for this final 60 seconds to tick down as well.
I think he just wants to have that good feeling from the first 3 quarters continue to resonate. But at the same time, always good to find things that you need to work on, and closing out a game obviously could be one for the Hawks here, but at least the first 3 quarters went as swimmingly as they did.
Milford taking their time now with just 34 seconds to go, 8 seconds left on the shot clock. A good up and under move, but no finish. And Sutherland, a couple of late buckets in this 4th quarter for Steve. And the final 10 seconds about to tick down in this 4th quarter. The student section having a little fun here before time runs out. And one more 3 for good measure for King Philip. Rims out, and that will do it here tonight, 79-46. Milford just dominant offensively, quickly building up a double-digit lead in this game. And for a team that offense at times was inconsistent through those first couple of games, Patrick, they've made that a very distant memory.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things I highlighted from the start is 2 teams wanting to establish an identity and chemistry, and we can at least say for one of those teams that happened tonight.
So Milford with the victory brings themselves back to the 500 mark at 2-2. They will be back in action here at home on Friday night. Patrick Garapi will have you covered for that game coming up on Friday, and then another home game coming up over the holiday break as well. A couple of non-conference opponents coming into the Milford gym over this next week. We look forward to bringing that coverage to you, but in the meantime, a big thank you to our Milford TV crew on hand for the game tonight. Our camera operators Scott Crisafulli and Caitlin Mobilia, our director Rob O'Keefe, and for Patrick Garapi, I am Tim Coet. That final score one final time, a huge victory for the Scarlet Hawks tonight. They defeat the King Philip Warriors by a final score of 79-46. This has been a presentation of Milford High School Athletics here on Milford TV. So long, everybody.